They say that passion fuels success. I think the first time I heard it was right here with our guest. Complete Decks and Renovation. You're going to enjoy this interview. Here's an innovator. Started from the bottom. Now we're here. I have never done this before, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting off with our pencil, saying to take notes. Passion fuels your success. That is so much the case, I think, in life. But our guest here, he mentioned that specifically as we started the show, as we were getting set up. I said, "Hey, man," he goes, "Man, if you have passion for something, that's what's going to get you through. You can't be successful very easily in life unless there's something you really, it's your passion."
It's very true.
You believe that? Welcome our guest here, everybody. DJ Goette.
Yes, sir.
I said it right. I'll put that up for everybody to see. But DJ is an innovator, a creator, somebody that's started a company just like everyone hopes to and is trying to make it happen. He's had great success. We're going to share a lot about his philosophy, what has gotten him here, and what he's doing to help our little community. Thank you for joining us, DJ.
Thanks for having me.
So we've talked a little bit about life and all that. We have a little pregame prep. We're 6 hours in now, I think, to the pregame prep. Not quite, but we spent a little extra time talking today because we I think one appointment got rescheduled, and I say, man, let's just chit chat, and we're talking about life. But it is true that if you get good people that support you too. So with that, we give a shout out to our sponsors because you like nice things attached to your house, like a nice deck. But you got to have nice furniture in that house too. So with that, we always say, hey, shout out to our sponsors, Carroll House Furniture, because you do like nice things in your little castle. And DJ's going to help you make sure that little castle has all the amenities you need. At the same time, we like this is another big sponsor for us. This is wonderful, and I didn't realize what was really going on here because, gosh, I've done quite a bit of investing over my lifetime. A lot of people do realize I am old at this point. I'm 53, everybody. 53, over a half of a century on this little planet. But when I was young, I got hit by a drunk driver. Most people know that part of the story. But I did walk to the bank with a check. It wasn't near what it seems like people break their arm nowadays and they get the same money I got. It wasn't a ton of money. It was a good little chunk of change. And my dad's like, if you will just invest this money. My dad has PhD in academic finance, all but dissertation. So they call it all but dissertation. He passed his oral exams, but didn't write his thesis, whatever. But a smart guy, did classes, and he says, look, you just invest this money, get an average rate through the rate in the rule of 72, and you get a 10% rate of return annually. By the time you're 56, I'll have $3.2 million estimated based on historical trends. The key is that you got to find something to invest in. And a lot of your mutual funds, and actually DJ picked up on this. He was scoping out what we do before he came on the show. He says, and even after you saw that, you still decided to come be our guest.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
But he saw a good bit of information. We were sharing a little bit about this. But the gold has actually outperformed the S&P. And I found data, not from the sources that are telling me this, but from my own research since 2010. And there's mutual fund guys out there to brag about, oh, I can beat the S&P. Go look, there's a contest done recently and I'm going to shout out here to our, there it is, our sponsor. Got his title there. My Metal Pro. If you would like to invest in something that is a proven track record, you're just buying gold. You got to find, who are you going to buy gold for? Well, hopefully you buy gold from somebody that knows what they're talking about. They've formulated the most systematic way to calculate, measure, and purchase, even down to $1 worth of gold. Nobody does that. So, and the price is always set, and there's no this. Oh well, you get this, and it's got this special value for something. No. Go talk to these guys. My Metal Pro, they were changing the world, and I'm proud to have them as a sponsor. But go to goldcowboy.com. I used to say goldcowboy.com, but go to that, right? Goldcowboy.com, and you'll find out more information about that. I've got a number of their coins here that they do. They do novelty special coins as part of this too. And I've had friends tell me that coin's worth way more than just the silver or gold it's made in. made out of, because some of these coins go 10 times what they were minted as a value at. So learn about that there. With that, let's jump in. DJ has been setting the world on fire, literally from a decking perspective. I like to say, no, we're not setting places on fire. I don't understand what we're talking about. We're talking about like doing good, creative, and innovative things. Started from the bottom where here was my intro line here, everybody. Why did I say that? You told me a little bit of your background. I can share a little bit, but you came from a background, you it's just life. You're being honest, right? Mm-hmm. You consider yourself to be not wealthy, or what were the words you used?
Yeah, no, I grew up in poverty, to say the least. We were on welfare, food stamps, that whole 9 yards. And in my young adult life, I became a young father, and I decided I wanted to try to break the generational curse, and branched out to try to do my own thing in the service industry.
Well, in an industry that is competitive, decking is the primary. Is there anything else besides decking? I mean, obviously, there's lots of ancillary things that come up. Your core service is building these beautiful decks for people to attach to their house.
Our core focus is custom design and deck builds, but we also cater to helping with repair. We do full deck work, whether it be a beam replacement, a new staircase that you need, whatever we have to do to cater to the customer's needs, because each customer has a different hand they're dealing with, different hand they're playing with.
Yeah, I can imagine there's not probably 2 decks on the face of the planet that are the same.
Never.
These prefab places, they change the color. I mean, but how many different artistic, there's a lot of artistic, what do you call it, insight, if you will, to make these things look beautiful, depending on what that particular customer wants, I guess.
Right, and that's where, so the customer would basically tell me, hey, I want a deck. And from there, we would go into the design phase. What type of framing do you want to use? What type of decking do you want to use? Railings, etc. There's everything from pressure treated to cedar to PVC to composite. There's many choices.
He knows the options very well, obviously, and I'd heard a bunch of these. I've built a couple composite decks, a couple cedar decks for helping buddies out. And then the treated wood doesn't look as pretty, but it's supposed to last longer.
Right.
I had some less than successful, I guess it lasted 10 years, but how long does treated wood? That's pine typically?
So, yeah.
It's treated with a spray that keeps it from decaying?
It's treated with chemicals to prevent rot and bug action.
Deterioration, right?
Right. I've seen a properly maintained cedar deck, which is not as strong as pressure treated. I've seen properly maintained cedar decks last 35 plus years. On the other hand, though, I've seen poorly maintained brand new pressure treated decks last less than 10 years. It's just a matter on how you protect that investment.
Yeah, you're talking about maintenance, I guess, typically, right?
Correct.
And being involved with, if somebody wants anything to last in life, you've got to properly maintain it. And does that mean staining it, treating it? What are some of the things that people need to do to maintain a deck?
The easiest way for me to describe it would be starting from initial build. So after, hypothetically, if we were to build a pressure-treated deck, we would want to let it weather out for 6 months before we came in and did anything. After, because when you let it weather out, you let the chemicals that it's been treated with evaporate out, into the atmosphere or whatever. The chemicals remain in the wood, but the wetness wicks out.
Gotcha.
From then, you come in and you would seal it with a transparent sealant, and that would last you for 1 to 3 years. After that, you come in, do the same process all over again. You wash it, and then you treat it with a semi-transparent. You put a little pigment in there to protect the wood from the elements.
Wow.
Another 3 to 5 years goes by, and then you're up to solid style stain, which is pretty much like paint for your deck. But if you follow manufacturer's request, you can, even though a pressure treated deck is a cheaper investment out of the gate, you can still live many years with a properly maintained pressure treated deck.
Okay, versus now that you're talking about composite. Most recent deck that I had built, we built is, and it is what is that? Composite means it's composed of two different things.
Mainly all recycled materials.
Okay.
Composite is a mixture of recycled wood and recycled plastic.
Okay.
PVC is strictly PVC. And so a composite will last longer than pressure treated. A PVC deck will last longer than composite.
Okay, so the longest lasting deck you can own is a PVC?
Correct.
And now that's, what is PVC? Is that typical PVC pipe, and it's really a plastic, right?
Yes.
What is PVC? I've done some installations. People pick up on the fact that I've done some of this construction stuff, helping Dad around the basement, helping with cabins and properties that we own in the family. And so, but PVC is that white tubing, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of fits together. You got to put that purple glue in there a little bit, and or maybe you put that what's that white wrap that goes in there to seal it. You put what do you call it?
Teflon tape.
Teflon tape, right? See, I know a little bit. I just didn't know what it's called. Okay, is that okay? But the bottom line is that material is exactly the same material that's making these decks.
Correct.
And PVC pipes last
indefinitely,
centuries, right? Mm-hmm. What's the deterioration length of one of those? But then what are the maintenance requirements for a PVC deck?
Hosing it off once a year.
Okay.
I mean, they call them maintenance free, but there's a little bit of maintenance involved. Really, it's just hosing off the debris, the pollen that comes through the year.
Okay, because I've seen on my rails that I have on my deck are PVC, and I built the whole thing essentially from Lowe's or Home Depot. Got the materials. Right? That's if you don't do it. If you're a do-it-yourselfer. We'll talk about why you don't build your own deck. I can give you some real tips because I've done this before, and you can get it done. But then you've the biggest thing. Let me jump into that real quick. How often do people end up their buddies are going to help them build their deck, whatever. And if you've got a history of construction, that may be okay, but there's still always things you miss. And what I ran into is like a couple of the joists were not mounted the right way. Some of the wood had deteriorated and then was reused when we did a refresh. And now this thing is going to have to be rebuilt 5 years sooner than if I'd had it professionally done, and that costs money to have a deck. Now you're buying a new deck 5 years earlier versus a deck that lasts 15, 20, 25. What's the average lifespan on these things?
On a PVC deck, with pressure treated framing, if you tape your joist, if you coat all your end grains and do everything as you should,
coat all your end grains, tape your joists.
Yeah.
So these are things. Okay, he's giving away some secrets here.
Hey, it's just stuff I've learned along the way.
Right.
But if you cross all your T's and dot all your I's in the construction world, easily 30 years. Easily 30 years. PVC deck, they are making what's called a life-proof deck anymore, to where it's not even wood framing, it's steel framing. So the weakest part of a PVC deck is your pressure-treated framing. Right. So when you eliminate the weakest link, then you basically have a life-proof deck. Yeah,
and we did reuse the framing on my deck because I had a pine finish treated decking and the supports, but the supports was always treated, right?
Right.
Because that's just what you use, and you don't want to buy cedar posts, I guess. You can.
Yeah.
But that's a real expensive way to make.
25, 30 years ago, most of it was cedar, but anything 20 years or less, I'd say they were going over towards pressure treated.
And I guess as you say, I got another joke for you. Everybody ready for this one? Some people, when they're doing this, they dot their T's and they cross their I's. Think about that. And I was realizing they're crossing their I's. Like, you're messing everything. If you're doing you think you've got it right. You did your research. You did your YouTube. You become YouTube experts. There's no way you can learn everything that's necessary for somebody who's done this. How long have you been doing decks now?
I've been doing decks since 2013.
Okay, so you're 12 years, and they say anybody that's done anything for 10 years or more by then, if that's what they've done for their living or major portion of their life, whatever, they've learned it. You can accelerate that, everybody. I've got strategies I share with people, like if you work 8 hours a day, you'll get there in 10 years. If you work 10 or 12 hours a day, you can see how you actually cut that in great proportion. A lot of people won't do that, though, and then they wonder why they're broke when they're 45.
That explains my 12-hour days then.
There you go. So that's why you've accelerated that. But what is it when it comes down to it that ultimately, what do you enjoy most about what you're doing here to help people
That
improve the
right
value of
there,
their house, right?
helping people. That is what I enjoy most about this. I mean, yes, I think my own selfish needs, I do like a custom design where a customer comes with a clean slate to where we can work together to make their dreams a reality. But I also get just as much fulfillment in having a customer that's got a rotted deck post that they can't afford to have a new deck, but they also can't have their family out on their deck this year. So I'll come in and give them a free inspection and find out what can get you 10 more years on your deck. You know, I'm not trying to sell you a whole new deck. I'm trying to get you by to live the best life you can.
That's what we talk about, community stuff. With that, we're going to take a quick break, everybody. Here's a little information for you. Check it out. I'm here with the world famous Paul Brown, everybody.
Almost infamous.
Many years as a reporter here in St. Louis, ABC, around the country, Speed Network.
I've done a lot of things. I've had many incarnations.
KMOX,
KMOX, KTRS, ABC 30 TV, Ladue News magazine, columnist.
Good looks and talent, everybody.
Oh boy.
There we go. All right, Cardinals. Why are the Cardinals such an institution here in Busch Stadium?
Well, I think you nailed it right there. Institution. I mean, this is just part of the culture of St. Louis. When you are a Cardinal fan, you are a St. Louisan, and that's just part of the deal. But the history, the tradition, everything about the Cardinals, when you come down here to Busch Stadium and you see Stan the Man right behind us and the other statues, the Hall of Famers and Lou Brock and Bob Gibson, all the...
So that's what we get to talk about, everybody. I'm excited because the community is what was at our core, and that's why we lead with that question and break into a segment. So we're going to start doing a lot more fun stuff in the community because there are so many good things that go on. That's why we put the hat on for the second half of the show, everybody, and you get to really understand a little bit what unites us all here. And Cardinals are a big thing here across the Midwest. I had a conversation with a different network at one point. We were talking about where we're going to be on TV, and they called me back. I didn't think they would, but they called me back, and they said, we know who you are, Cowboy. And do you understand that the Cardinal Nation is 20 million people, and many of them are a high percentage of them are very familiar with the Cardinal Cowboy. I said, oh, that's good. That's why we put you on TV during our mid-game stuff and fun stuff. So I appreciate that because we got a good message, and we're looking for then always to highlight those leaders that are the smaller businesses trying to make it in our little planet too, because everybody, I believe, deserves that spotlight. And once I figured out how to do that, the spotlight? How do you control the spotlight? That's what I want to do. So I'm trying to control the spotlight and put it on those people that are doing great stuff. So give it up for DJ here. All right, DJ, let's jump in here a little bit further because I want people to understand what you're about. You've got a lot of great reviews, and everybody wants to take a look at those. I'm going to pop those up on the wall up here. But if you look at just what he's done already in a short period of time in his full-time business for himself right now, 11 reviews, all 5s, and you can tell he's not farming out the whole, let's get as many reviews as we can. Those are natural, organic, all 5s. And when you're pulling that kind of weight with regard to your reviews, that means you're doing good work. And those will continue to grow. There's people show off some of his work there. So great job on that. Read those reviews if you like to take a minute to do that. But also then, we're going to show a lot of the work off that he's done because it is important to understand that word of mouth is good, but you want to get good quality stuff that you can actually see the work. So back up on the wall here, I'll go to our wide camera and just start scrolling through. These are all available on his Google Google business listing, which is a great place to have a lot of pictures that are like, some of those are even submitted by people besides him, because you can do that and they'll show up and there they are. But take a look at those as well, and you really get to see some great work that DJ has done here. Really impressive stuff and a lot of pictures out there to view as you go through that. But we're going through the show here quickly. I'm going to go back to some of these pictures. We're going to have DJ on here for a second half an hour to talk more about his business, and we'll come back to some of that. But first off, we kind of touched on it a few minutes ago, and I like this part where I'm a money guy. I'm a numbers guy. I like to know, where's the money going? How much is this costing? Should I do it myself? There's a lot of people that might attempt to do a deck themselves. Like I said, if you have a construction background, which I happen to have some in my family, that was where I had some help, obviously, going in. My dad, engineering stuff, he's done all that kind of stuff. But unless you have that, is there anybody that would, in good conscience, build a deck? I mean, if it's a deck on the lower level, like one of those decks that kind of you make it instead of a patio, maybe. But if you're putting something 10, 12 feet in the air, you start talking about joists and support posts and how far it's got to be down into the below the permafrost, so else you're
Right. Yeah. There's
you freeze things. Tell me about why people shouldn't do it themselves and what they should risk, what they're risking.
not to be a fear mongerer, but I don't know if anybody's seen a YouTube video of a deck collapse, but they can be terrifying. That alone, I mean, there's 100 different variables on where your deck could fail at, where an honest attempt to make an outdoor living space for yourself could turn into a hospital trip. Their chances of that happening are probably slim to none, but accidents do happen. Extreme cases do happen. Whenever we dig our holes, we have to dig 30 inches down. Our frost line's 24 inches. We got to dig 6 inches past that to prevent heaving, prevent the footings getting thrown out when it frosts. They have to be 12 inches around, belled to an 18. So it's big enough to put a large dog in.
Okay.
And also we have to make sure all of our ledger bolts are tied into the band board in the house at the proper way, or else your ledger board can twist and fail, can crack. You got to have the right approved joist hangers. You have to have the right straps for your stringers. You have to make sure your stair rise and run all falls within code. Now they're recently requiring us to have hurricane ties on our decks up here, which basically puts like a 2 or 3 foot piece of threaded rod from the deck joist through the wall of the house into the floor joist. So we have to physically attach through the house to make sure that thing's not going anywhere anymore. And a basic homeowner without that knowledge, if they decided to go through the permitting process, which that has got politics in its own, you know, there's a lot of hoops to jump through to make it right.
Yeah, and these hoops that are put in place, many of them are designed
Safety.
just to keep somebody safe. Because
Correct.
if you end up building a deck on your own and it collapses, good luck talking to your insurance company about who's going to pay for that.
Right.
And God forbid somebody got injured or killed, you could literally like lose everything you own because they might find a reason to not pay out based on you didn't.
And then you're stuck with the medical bills for whoever got injured. And not to mention, I mean, that's the very lowest thing to worry about, but your time, effort, and everything else involved in the initial project.
Sure.
When you could have just had time and effort looking around to finding a professional.
Do what you do best, make some money on that, and then, you know, apportion that because you do well, hopefully, what you do. Or you're well off, or your family as a unit, you know, make this all work. But that's what we talk about. And there's reasons to consider these things. That's why we talk about it. But we told essentially it's our cost analysis. And you break that down. Somebody can buy the materials for a deck for $3,000 to $5,000 depending on the size of the deck.
Yeah, correct.
And then you're anywhere from, and it could be up to $20,000 if they're going to be 3 multi-tiered levels and an awning and
Different
everything.
staircases or
Right,
whatever.
staircases I know are expensive, yeah. But ultimately, there's a lot of labor, and labor is all not just labor in itself, but it's that design knowledge, right? To be able to engineer this thing so that it is properly designed, so that when you've got angles and lifts and supports, and those are all important things, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, depending upon if the customer wants to put a load up there, then we have to frame differently to accept the load that they're trying to put up there. If they want to cover it, if they want a screened in porch, they're all different recipes we would have to come up with.
Okay, so very important. Get an expert. DJ knows what he's talking about. Doing this for over 12, 13 years almost now, and your own business now for going on into your second year coming up here.
This is my, so we were doing business as Complete Decks for about 3 years prior to opening up the old LLC. We were doing it under Advanced Cleaning Concept. I was a residential commercial pressure washer, but the pressure washing market was very cutthroat. and
Yeah,
there
that's-
was less fulfillment in pressure washing than there was creating something. So we found a niche and we got in there.
Going after, that's what you do. Well, there's room for this. I found it anywhere on our little planet. If you're willing to put the work in, these jobs are all created by humans. If you're a human and you're willing to work, you can make it happen. And then you want to focus, zoom in on it. What do you think has really led to you being so successful with where you're at right now?
I think the fact that I firmly believe that if another human on this planet can do something, there's no reason I can't. It might take me more time, more dedication, but I can still do it.
There you go. That's what we talk about. I give speeches at different organizations around the Midwest and around the country. I've been to a few places that are far distant from here, but you literally just talking about that. It's literally, I was in a coma, lucky to survive, and then everybody told me what I wasn't going to be able to do. And doctors talking to my parents about, Carter, you should just lower your expectations for him. No, pull out of that office and never went back to that doctor. Won't say their name. I don't even know their name. But go after it. Never give up. And if you've got the mental capacity, because most people do, we know the people who have had brain injuries or other related things that diminish that. Some people are born with certain things, and we had to help those people. We really do. I mean, and they're gifts. If you really get in, you learn. I've worked with a number of them. You learn so much from these type of young adults and kids because they have a totally different perspective on life. Where we cry about the fact that our dog wet the floor, they're like, one of the kids I work with, she had gone through 23 surgeries. She is a superhero. Talk about that. We did the red carpet thing with a group that does that. It's pretty awesome. But I was just fortunate to be the one to walk her down the red carpet. They all did a red carpet thing for these kids. That was really cool. And I gave a little speech there at that event. Go watch that speech if you like. But we talk about that. But how often is it people give up on life because they've been told by somebody else that they were stupid or they were dumb? And those are people, whoever says that to somebody, obviously they're the one with the real issue.
Right.
But when you encourage other people, then that comes back to you as well. It seems like you've been through enough in your life, based on what you told us where your background was, and coming from a less than affluent situation. You said poor, but that's, you can still bounce back no matter where you're at as long as you're willing to put the work in. Do you think that's true?
Yes, I agree 100% on that. There is nowhere to go but up.
Nowhere to go to up, and if you're willing to put the work in, you can get there, and you can beat the guys that are better, faster, stronger, more informed, more connected. If you just do the work.
Persistence.
Persistence is the key. Persistence is a plaque my dad gave me years ago. It said, if there's any one thing that will beat everybody, DJ brought it up, persistence trumps everything. And that's that work. You stick with it. All right, everybody, we're over here with our first half hour. We're going to be back for another half hour with DJ. Learn even more from this young gentleman who's an expert in our community. Get up.